This is just a sample of the audiobook. To get the complete audiobook, access the link posted in the first comment.
Chapter 1. 2 Questions. As we observe the 200th birthday of our nation, it is appropriate to ask ourselves 2 basic questions. Can our government be honest, decent, open, fair, and compassionate? Can our government be competent? As a matter of fact, many millions of American citizens have been asking these questions and are doubtful about whether either can be answered in the affirmative. The tragedies of Cambodia and Vietnam, the shock, embarrassment, and shame of Watergate, the doubt and confusion surrounding the economic woes of our nation, these have created unprecedented doubt and soul-searching among our people. Does our government in Washington now represent accurately what the American people are or what we ought to be? The answer is clearly no. Can our government in Washington represent accurately what the American people are or what we ought to be? The answer to this second question is sought throughout this book. This is an autobiographical book written by one who is still actively involved in politics. But it is not a political autobiography. It is written as a kind of summing up of my opinions about our nation, based on my own observations and experiences. It is written, too, in the belief that these personal experiences have relevance to the values most Americans want to see embraced at the top levels of our national leadership. Within our free society, each of us has an opportunity to develop a wide range of abilities, characteristics, responsibilities, and interests. I am a Southerner and an American. I am a farmer, an engineer, a father and husband, a Christian, a politician and former governor, a planner, a businessman, a nuclear physicist, a naval officer, a canoeist, and among other things, a lover of Bob Dylan's songs and Dylan Thomas's poetry. As the philosopher Soren Kierkegaard said, every man is an exception. We Americans are proud of such individuality and diversity, but we still share common dreams. Neither Vietnam, nor Watergate, nor the hardships of a mismanaged economy can change that. Some of our shared dreams are easy to state, if not always so easy to achieve. They include the beliefs that all Americans should stand equal before the law, that our country should, among the community of nations, set an example of courage, compassion, honor, and dedication to basic human rights and freedoms, and that government should be controlled by our citizens and not the other way around. Some of our dreams are more subtle, more difficult to put into words. We must remember that our nation still retains its own inherent greatness. Our inherent economic strength, our natural resources, and our human resources are certainly no less than they were 2 years ago, or 2 decades ago, or 2 centuries ago. The proper tapping of this reservoir of strength, courage, and ability is the joint responsibility of all of us, and particularly as we consider the bicentennial of our nation. On September 5, 1974, I met with the governors of the other 12 original states in Philadelphia. It was exactly 200 years after the convening of the First Continental Congress when we walked down those same historic streets, then turned left and entered a small building named Carpenter's Hall. There we listened to the same prayer and sat in the same chairs occupied in 1774 by Samuel Adams, John Jay, John Adams, Patrick Henry, George Washington, and about 45 other strong and often opinionated leaders. Those first leaders of what would become the United States held widely divergent views, and they debated for furious weeks. They and others who joined them for the Second Continental Congress avoided the production of timid compromise resolutions. They were somehow inspired, and they reached for greatness. Their written premises formed the basis on which our country was begun. I don't know whose particular chair I occupied that day in Philadelphia, but sitting there, I thought soberly about their times 2 centuries ago and ours of the 1970s.